Episode 9 of Season 6 of the Tom and Brand Storytime and now upon us. In our last episode, we talked about the episode of episode 8 of Harvey to the Rescue Alley. How Harvey had rescued Percy Alley, and he went on Sodor for good Alley. But now in this episode of Tom and Friends Story Time, we're going to be reading the story of Percy and James in the Middle. So, hop on board and explore the island of Sodor with everyone's number one friend, Thomas the Tank Engine. A Tom and Friend Atomic TV series. Percy and James in the Middle. Percy loved working on the island of Sodor. He loved being a really useful engine, sunting truck and delivering the mail and doing whatever job the Bat Controller gave him. There was one thing that Percy hated doing. He was being a middle engine. When he was a middle in of a train with truck alley in front of him, the truck were behind him. It was no fun at all. One day, Percy was happily collecting truck from the melter yard, where Ari and Bert worked. Percy was enjoying himself so much he did not know the crafty experience on Ari and Bert's face. They knew Percy hated being a middle engine. Before he knew it, Percy was stuck right in the middle of the train. Ari and Bert had tricked him. "Oh no," said the driver. Now where we're going to have to go really low." Percy was chuckling slowly and crossly along when Jane came whistling past. "It's low coat, Percy," he whistled cheerily. "You've been laughing on the other side of your butler alley if you were stuck in the middle," grumbled Percy. "It was all the way to the coaling plant." At the plant, Percy sunk his truck into the tipper load ramp one by one, and the coal was unloaded. He knew he wasn't allowed to cross the loading ramp until the tipper had been turned off. But just then Henry arrived to pick up the coal. He bumped into the truck, and who bumped into Percy? Before he knew it, what was happening to Percy was put into the loaded ramp. "Help!" he cried. I'm not a truck." But no one could hear him. He was hurtling into the air, tipped over and loaded down again. By the time he landed back on the ground, he begged a new alley the way it would way down. That night, the Bat Controller delivering to Percy. I am very disappointed at you," he said. "You have caused confusion and delay." "I'm sorry, sir," said Percy, "but it wasn't my fault. Ari and Bert, Ari and Bert made me a middle engine, and Henry put the truck, so I ended up on the ramp." "Nevertheless, you'll shut truck in the yard until I get to the bottom of this," said the Bat Controller. "Pah!" said James to Percy. "I can handle Ari and Bert even if I've been the butler and bought the boiler." The Bat Controller was listening. "Then you will do Percy run to the melter," he said. "Yes, sir," said James, shooting a bit, but he's sure of himself. The next day, James would set out to work in Demlin, not to let Ally and Bert get the better of him, Ally. Hello, James, ordered Bert. Come to learn the middle engine, just like Percy. Jet, get my truck ready and stay out of my way, ordered James, in a moat in front of the boy. As James backed up to its truck, he was claiming that Harry and Bert will not dare to try to get the better of him, but he was wrong. Before he knew it, James was a middle engine too. Just like Percy, called Harry. I am not like Percy, huffing James, and I'm not moving. And he didn't. When the Fat Controller heard what was going on, he sent Percy to fetch James' alley. Percy was really pleased to stop touching the truck alley in the yard. He thought he was very funny that James had ended up at a middle engine. Percy buttered up to James, who still had not moving alley, and took him and all the truck to the dock. When the dock manager alley saw Percy, he thanked him alley, being right on time. But what is that big red engine doing in the middle? He asked. Learning to be a middle engine, laughed Percy. James covered himself in steam hotly. Nobody would see him. It was all good, but there was only one engine on the island. Everybody knows that his name is definitely James. Yeah, I know you all are probably wondering. That is true. That is indeed true, Outley. James is the only red engine Outley on the island of Sodor. I would say that, Outley. Well, there you have it, folks. That was the story of Percy and James in the middle, Outley. Well, that means we only have one more episode left of 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 season 6 of the Tom and Friend story time to go, Outley. And that is going to be coming up here in just a few minutes, Outley. So what will happen? What will happen in the last episode of season 6 of the Tom and Friend story time series? Well, you will have to wait and see what will happen.